And it is now time for the holiday sale. That kicked off today around 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And I was sifting through everything briefly just to see what all there was to offer. And there's some really crazy stuff, including some 3 or 4 gems, a whole bunch of additional points for the event, a lot of signature stones. And I'll just go over the list of everything that there was total. So there were 3 superior banquet crystals, 2 of the jubilant crystals, 200 of the founder signature stones, 2 of the kingpin or absorbing man selector boxes, 1 founder's key. There were also 2 of those 3 to 4 founders rank up gems, and a selector for a first appearance kingpin or absorbing man. So that's just what you get as a bonus for getting each of the holiday deals. I ended up waiting to get those selectors because I wasn't exactly sure what was going to happen with the Realm event or if anything else was going to be claimable that could have shifted that. Obviously, those selectors were awesome because it means I don't need to be using any Awakening gems on either Kingpin or Absorbing Man, which is great. Didn't want to have to burn my skills or my Mystic Awakening gems. So now we're getting into what the actual deals were. So for the Odins, you got a Founder's Keeper's key for that box. You got 2 Superior Banquet crystals and a Jubilant crystal. For the Black Panther deal, you got 10k Titan shards, 1 Superior Banquet crystal, and 2 Greater Banquet crystals. Then for the Tony Stark's briefcase, you got 5 of the Gala crystals, 1 Superior Banquet crystal, and 1 Greater Banquet crystal. The Star-Lord's loot bag had 5 Gala crystals and 1 Greater Banquet crystal. And then the Peter Parker's wallet just had 2 Gala crystals. So in order to maximize for this event, I went ahead and made sure to get each of those deals. The units are 50% increased what they would be normally. So for the price of what would normally be only about 30,000 units, we got over 45,000. And what we had prior put us over 47,000. Of course, I wasn't going to spend all of those completely. I did want to save some on the off chance that there are additional things on Friday that I can have a final opening. And one of the members of my alliance brought out a good point that this Awakening gem that we got from the Realm event is only applicable to the Champions in the Founders Keepers box. So if you don't use it, you're going to lose it. So I almost used it on Scorpion right there. But where I didn't have a Cosmic Awakening gem, I wanted to go ahead and use it on Hulkling before I opened up anything else, just in case, wanted to play it safe. And then I went ahead and reset the box before I opened any crystals, but I wanted to make sure that, we already got all that out of the way, because at this point, it really doesn't matter. I'm going to still save those 2 keys, though, until after I open all these crystals. The crystals themselves, I think, had some of the best rewards as far as rank-up materials go. Just being able to stack on a crazy amount of rank 4 materials and relic rank-up materials. Specifically those alloys, the Celestials, the Tier 2 Celestials. So, before this sale started, I was 123,000 units into this challenge. And that had been, nearly 9 times. I'm not even going to try to calculate how many extra times over I had, because the Realm event is what would have required the largest solo milestone. But where I'm trying to push for top 600 at least to get that 4 to 5 rank up gem, and that's still a crystal, so that's going to be a class of the game's choosing, depending on RNG that day. So then this event, as you can see, I'm saving about 8,000 units, give or take. So that means I've put 39,000 in just today. So that puts my total at 162,000 units. And what's crazy is that's enough to maximize and get most of the alliance milestones as a complete alliance score, which is absolutely crazy. Just to think that I'm putting up 10% of some alliances alone that are considered high spenders. But, there's so many people maximizing these crystals, enjoying them the same way I am. So I want to make sure that I can stay as competitive as possible. So I forget exactly what the plan was to sift through and pop. I probably could have just popped all of these and then seen, well, we get what we get, because the RNG, the numbers don't change, depending on how often you look at what you got. I do know I like to see how many Tier 2 Celestials I'm at. I had actually miscalculated, thinking that it only took 3 Tier 2 Celestials for 7 stars. And then going back later, I found out that you need 4 to rank up a 7-star StatCast from rank 1 to rank 2. So at one point I had 6 of them, and I thought that that'd be plenty, thinking that'd get me 2 rank ups in, because I had more than enough of the Tier 4 basic alloys. Then I find out, well, I'm only going to get 1 of them in there. So if we do open something later this week, hopefully we can get 2 more of those, so that we can get a final 7-star ranked up as far as the StatCast go. Because I'm still a lot farther behind as far as the relic prestige goes than I would like, compared to some of the other top members in the alliance. And I'm just there scratching my head trying to figure out where I'm behind. But at the end of the day, it's for the alliance anyway, to make sure that we can stay ranking as high as we can, to continue to get the best rewards, being radiance from week to week. So in that sense, all the relic pushing is worth it, 100%. These signature stones are also really valuable, and a lot of people have been getting hype about pulling the Tier 5 Alpha and how many signature stones they're going to get, after the event's over during the second week of January. But one thing people don't realize is that those are going to expire. And maybe you can buy yourself, a month and a half, maybe even 2 months, by just maximizing not claiming them in your mail until close to that 28, 29 day mark. And then depending on how long it takes the SIGs to expire, you'll have additional time after that while they're waiting in your stash. But either way, it's not like you can hoard hardly any of those. The maximum for the +1s is 125. And for the +5s as well. So no matter what the currency is or the way that they're sent out, they're going to be expiring, so they're going to need to be used. So I'll save whatever I can and just make sure that I can maximize what I've got and what I can use. Because I'm wanting to make sure that I can sig up all the top prestige champs as soon as possible. Whenever the new Titans continue to roll over, if there's any additional prestige rank ups I'll need to make, I'll have those materials set aside, even though it'll only be a fraction of what I've gotten over this event and what'll come after the event. So here total, we've got 5 of these Tier Celestial alloys, and there's that number 6 I was telling you. I thought I could split 3 and 3 between 2 rank ups, but it ended up being 4 was a requirement. And you can see there we're going to be able to open up another Awakening gem, so that's awesome. So then we come to the Gala crystals, and I was somewhat frustrated with these drop rates, and I'm not sure exactly what happened, or if the drop rates were slightly higher before this event. and then they were changed slightly afterwards before today, because I don't think I pulled a single 7-star out of any of these Gala crystals, which is extremely unusual, because I know in some of my past videos, I've gotten 2 of them within 30. So then you take 130 of them and you don't pull a single 7-star. It's highly suspicious. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because the luck would definitely say that you only have a 2.5% chance. So that means you might get 2 in 100 crystals, but crystal to crystal, you still only have a 2% chance. And it's very possible, that I just went all of those crystals without, getting lucky at all, which is perfectly fine. I just found it highly inconsistent with the data that I've been seeing over the last couple days of opening all these different crystals, specifically these Galas. And I can't complain too much, because I did get X23 and Valkyrie out of these Gala crystals, so that saved me needing to duplicate either, because as you can see today, we got enough keys to get all 6 out of that first box pool, and then once we use the rest of the keys and the box resets, we'll still have a couple that we can use. And then without the Gala crystals, it would have been a gamble who you would need to use an Awakening Gem on. But as you saw, we already used an Awakening Gem on Hulkling. We've got a couple Science Awakening Gems for Scorpion. I've got one for Nimrod. I was prepared to use one for Valkyrie. And then Jane Foster also had a Mystic Awakening Gem. The only one that I would not have duped otherwise was X23. Her tune-up looks really good, but it still looks like it's very situation dependent, and it's not something that I want to invest a lot of rank up materials, time, money, and effort learning how to use her and when to use her, especially when I can use a bunch of other champs that can get the job done just as good, if not better. Specifically, a secret mutant rank up that I'm going to be ranking up later. Someone that I've enjoyed more than a lot of other people had for no reason. Someone that was recently worked up and given a tune-up. But I'll get to that in the next video. So here we're getting on the tail end of opening 131 Gala crystals with no luck whatsoever. You see there I'm revisiting the drop rates to see how absurd this is, that I've just opened crystal and crystal and crystal and still not getting anything. But like I already said, I can't be too picky, can't complain too much about all that. It is what it is, and I'm more than grateful for all the drops that I have gotten so far. And I'm for sure excited to be able to make a video of all the rank ups that I'm going to be doing. I think at this point I have close to enough materials to rank up about a dozen new rank 4s. And that's completely dependent on whether or not I'm using those lower catalysts to take champions up from 1 to 2, 2 to 3, 3 to 4, or just a bunch of different champs from 3 to 4 right off the bat. So here we got these limited pool selectors, and here I am just scrolling through trying to see, who needs a first time duplication. Make sure I give it to whoever I need. And there, we talked about Tigra in the last video, and of course I got to go through this time. I picked Coal Obsidian last time, and yeah, Tigra gets it this time, so that saves me another Mystic Awakening Gem. So now I'm just digging through and seeing if there's anybody I missed. But I'm pretty sure that that's going to Apocalypse. that's a champion that I've enjoyed in times past that has been now overshadowed by all the crazy nuke mutants that we have so far. But his Strife synergy is still one of the craziest ramp-ups in the game. Of course, with a lot of the content that you could take him out for a spin, there are damage caps. So that kind of takes away from being able to ramp completely. Because at one point, all you can do is see that, oh, they're hitting the damage cap for every single hit. And it's like, yeah, but how much farther could they go? So that's why I've been enjoying the solo raids. Sometimes I'll take champs in there that won't gain any tactical charges at all. So you just have an endless health pool to play with and just see what the numbers could look like. So I think I wanted to pop 10, spin 5, pop 10 for these Jubilant crystals. I don't remember what my reasoning was, but I had people start saying that the consensus was you get better drop rates when you pop them compared to spin them. And I wish I would have known that, before I was spinning every single one that I've gotten so far up to this point in my last few videos. Because it's just crazy, man. I mean, I'll start communicating with people and I'll see what they're pulling compared to what I'm pulling. And I'm like, dude, I've opened twice as many, 3 times as many of these Jubilant crystals as you. It's like, how am I not getting these pulls that you're getting? And then they're just like, oh, are you spinning or are you popping? And I was like, well, I've been spinning. Like, well, there's your first problem. Because then at least you get a better RNG manipulation compared to every single individual spin. I'm not exactly sure what the science behind that is, or even how the code responds to opening 10 at a time compared to just 1 at a time whenever it's drawing chances. But I remember even back when I was first starting the game with the premium hero crystals, you'd almost always get a 4-star whenever you open 10 or more. And then if you only open 5, you'd maybe get a 3-star, but you're probably only getting 2 stars. And yeah, see, we pop and we finally get a key, an elusive key that we literally haven't gotten for all the other crystals that we've cracked open. And then for some reason, the one day that I've got way too many keys, they decide to give me one. It's just funny how that works. So here we're spinning this last one, which may or may not be the last one, because I don't know if there's going to be additional stuff to be able to get in the web store later this week on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. But I'll have to see if I'm going to participate in all that, because I'm pretty satisfied with where I'm at right now. I like my chances at getting top 600 with the score that I have so far. I think those last few crystals put me at 235,000 roughly, and I'd like to believe that's more than enough to get top 600. And I don't really think that I'm going to go for top 300. That just seems like it's going to be a ghost chase and not really worth pushing, because there's so much ambiguity around it that you just don't know. So there, as you can see, we got Thor Jane Foster, so that's saving us a Mystic dupe, and then Scorpion is saving us another Science Gem, which is awesome. And then X23 we got from finishing that first box. So yeah, I'm more than happy with all of that. That's been great. And then as far as catalyst goes and items go, we're looking pretty solid. We've got a lot of these Founders Keepers signature stones that we can only use on those 6 champs. So even with the Realm event that's coming up later, I'm going to make sure that I have Sig room to spare, and that I don't just force everybody up to 200. while there's still some of those SIGs floating out there that can only be used on them. That'd just be a waste. And then as you can see, we've got SIGs already in overflow for the +5s. That those only go up to 125. So we've been getting quite a few of those. So now I'll go ahead and finish this out like I always do with the Nexus and then an Awakening gem, because we got enough to form one of those. And I'll take more SIGs and call. I'm probably going to max SIG him. If not today, then definitely tomorrow. And he will probably be someone that I'm taking up to rank 4. He doesn't even need a ramp, and he's still doing crazy damage like Cosmic Ghost Rider. That's something I just, couldn't sneeze, can't ignore any longer. I've been hesitant to rank him up because I didn't have him duplicated. But now that we crossed that threshold with those selectors and we were able to get him duplicated, I'm definitely going to be investing in him and learning how to play him better. It'll be a lot of fun for sure. And then as far as Awakening gems go, I'm already in pretty good shape. The only reason I would have wanted the Cosmics would be for Hulkling, but since we were able to use the Founder's Keeper gem on him instead, then we don't need to be using the class gems. So I really don't have a need for a Cosmic Awakening gem right now until another champion comes down the road. And as you can see, we're stacked on not only Titan shards but also 7-star Nexus shards. And like I've said before, I'm going to make sure to save all those for when they start adding Ascension materials for duplications, because I've got pretty much everybody that I could out of the crystals. I looked through just a few of them, and the only ones that I still have yet are just people that need a first-time duplication. Since I pulled Dr. Voodoo, and then the only ones I don't have are Kang, because I just got Thanos out of that other selector. So here for the relics, as I was saying before, I think the egg is the only 6-star relic worth ranking 5. And then the rest of them, it's the stat casts that are worthwhile, specifically the 7 stars at Sig 20. So I wanted to rank up this insulated relic because I've noticed how valuable the Mystic insulated relic was, and that these are going to pay off a lot more because we're seeing energy damage seems to be more of a problem, more of an issue, especially through the block for things you're getting. And then as you can see that it takes 4 of those tier 2 Celestials, so that kind of sucks. So if I open more crystals, I'll just need to be hoping that I can form 2 more full ones, which is asking a lot, honestly, but I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, we were crunching the numbers to see what prestige is higher, and a 7-star Sig 20 is far higher than a battle cast at a Sig 200 would be for rank 5, and we're not getting stat cast to Sig 200 anytime soon except the egg. So I'm content with what we've got here, and this will be yet another relic that's adding on to those numbers, helping us push even farther past 36,000 prestige. I think my next threshold is 36.1. As you can see, we're just a few points off from there. That's all I got. Stay tuned for the rank up video.